It's not, as I said, it's not exactly a webinar. It's more of a conversation on a topic which is something which has become very common for almost everybody these days. You know, anxiety is something which a lot of people are going through, a lot of people are facing. Why is something that I'd like to ask. I understand that what is happening all over around us is enough to put anybody into that space where you're not maybe able to not think clearly, not be yourself, have difficulty, in focusing, in concentration. So understandable, but just a minute, I'll just pin my video so everybody's out of this. So it is understandable with whatever's happening around us, but getting it out of hand or letting it go out of hand is where we give up control, and then we are the sufferers. Because when that happens, the only person who suffers is us. So what I'd like to bring out here in this discussion today is what is the difference between, anxiety and anxiety disorder. Because people usually have this habit of saying, I'm really having a lot of anxiety, and she's got anxiety, and he's got anxiety, or she's suffering from anxiety. Not everybody suffers from anxiety. Anxiety, the disorder that we have, is a very different state altogether. And what we are facing today, it's more of anxiousness. And yes, that is leading to anxiety. But if we control it at the anxiousness stage, we will be able to control a lot of the other symptoms, which are not at all beneficial for our mental health, physical health, professional health, personal health, everything. So this is what this webinar today is all about. It's basically to bring out what is the difference between these, and how we can, by doing very simple things, we can identify it and we can control it. So this is what I'll be taking you through today. So if I'd like to start with presentation, so anybody who's joining in can join in, and from that place. So as I was saying, that it is about, thoughts which go out of hand, which we are unable to control. So how do we go ahead and control these thoughts? But before that, let's understand what is anxiety. So anxiety is when the feelings of being anxious and stressed, they don't go away. So what happens is, when do you feel this anxiety, or rather this anxiousness? It's when you have certain thoughts. In especially today's time, what are these thoughts? These thoughts are about when are things going to get back to normal? When are we going to, start having things the way it was before? Everybody that I almost listen to says one thing, and that is, when are we going to go back to normal? The fact that we are waiting to go back, that means we want to go back in the past, which is not going to happen. Because we've come out of it. I mean, do you want to go back to January 2020? I don't think so. We are all moving ahead. We are looking forward to January 2021. So we are not going back anywhere. We're going ahead. So when you're going ahead, and every time if you keep saying the word, I'd like to go back, or when we go back, or when things go back, what you're saying is two contradicting things, because you're moving forward, you're going forward, you're moving ahead, you're planning for the future, but you want to move back into the past. So just changing your words will actually have a lot of impact on your own thoughts. So now as we move ahead, as things maybe return to the way they were before, or as things become better, as we conquer this, or as we move out of this, anything which shows that you're moving forward, you're moving ahead, will definitely have a lot of impact on the way that your thoughts are being triggered. Because the moment you're talking about going back, a lot of things from your past will start coming in, including your insecurities, including your fears, including a lot of things which are not going to be conducive to your productivity in the future. So let's talk about tomorrow. Let's stop talking about yesterday. Yesterday is gone, it's finished. The past is finished, it's over. So when we are talking about the future, listen to the words. What are you saying? Anxiousness usually has a trigger. Of course, before the thoughts come, we say that, okay, anxiousness or anxiety happens because I can't control my mind. But before that, something happens which triggers that state of mind. Now, if I have to give you a difference between what is anxiety and what is anxiousness, anxiousness, as I said, is when you are probably in this moment, a thought came to your mind and it started giving you a lot of insecurity, a lot of fears. You start feeling restless. You start having you start hyperventilating. You start feeling that nothing's going right. Nothing's gonna go right, and all of those feelings which come inside you. Well, that is anxiousness. When it stays for a long time, you get inside anxiety. You start feeling that again and again and again, but still in intervals. When that happens, that anything and everything in your life you start getting anxiety or anxious about, that means that you're in a constant state of anxiousness, is when you have a disorder. And that is dangerous, because that will render you absolutely unproductive. You'll not be able to think, you'll not be able to work, you'll not be able to perform, you'll not be able to sleep, you'll not be able to eat. It just goes and affects and impacts a lot of things. And that is when people who are in that disorder then move on to going into depression. So this is a gradual progression that we are talking about. So I always believe that if we can stop a problem at the root, we really take care of it at a level where it is easier to manage, easier to do it. Instead of going and dealing with somebody in depression, what if I would have been able to listen, observe, whether it's me or somebody else who is in that anxiousness state, and if I can help them, then I save a lot of people from actually going into mental health issues, including myself. So this today basically is to bring to your awareness that there is a difference between being anxious, having anxiety, and having a disorder. So if you are feeling that restlessness, if you have not been able to sleep for a couple of nights, you are definitely having anxiety. But if it is something which just triggers when you are probably, it's triggered by a thought, it's triggered by maybe a responsibility or something that you have to do, or maybe when you're making your business plan and it just triggers because I don't know how to make the plans anymore because I can't understand how the future is going to be. Well, that's anxiousness, and that's fine. And that's because of all the what ifs that come to our mind. So that's something which we can take care of. And that is what I would like to take you through here. The first thing that I would like to tell you is don't fight it. People have this habit, when something negative happens in their life, they immediately go into fight mode. And that's okay, because that's how the brain is wired. It's triggered. It's wired that way, that when there is something which it perceives as danger, it goes either in the fight mode or the flight mode. So you either escape the danger or you fight it. And also there is another one, which is the freeze mode, when you don't know what to do and you are absolutely, your hands go cold, your feet go cold, and you start getting dizzy, all of those symptoms. Well, that's when you are in the freeze mode. Your brain freezes. You can't think, you can't perform, you can't do anything. So understanding that this is just a reaction of my mind, and it is not something which I cannot change. I can. When it is a reaction, it's an automatic reaction. So just acknowledge that this is a reaction. The moment you acknowledge it, the impact of that particular reaction decreases immediately. The moment you fight something, that becomes powerful, you become powerless. Because believe me, you can fight anything in this world, but not your mind. When you start fighting your mind, you basically, that's an internal battle. And the mind is super, super, super powerful. It will bring to you so many other things. You'll fight the thoughts, it will bring voices inside your head. If you'll fight the voices, it will bring feelings inside you. If you fight those feelings, it will bring memories back to you. It'll do something or the other to keep you in that state because it perceives there is a danger. So it has to keep you safe. So stop fighting it. Acknowledge that, yes, I know that there is a danger. When you acknowledge, okay, deal done. She knows that she is in danger. Now she's going to be careful. So that's when the brain then helps you calm down. So that the first and most important tip that I'd like to give you is that stop fighting it. Acknowledge whatever is coming to your mind. What ifs, what if this happens, what if that happens, whatever comes to your mind, acknowledge it. The next thing, and once you acknowledge it, it loses steam. Once it loses steam, then you can definitely sort it out. You can work with it. The next tip that I would like to give you here is, when you can work with it, understand what is the worst that can happen. A very, very powerful, and for some people, it's, what are you saying? Because their worst is probably the end. That's okay. What's the worst that can happen? Look at the end. The problem is the mind is fixed in this moment, all right? And all the problems are happening here. So what we need to do is we need to change the state of thinking. So what's the worst that can happen takes us out from the present moment and takes us in the future. So once you can get out of the present moment and get out in the future, you immediately change your state, because you are now not thinking about all the what ifs there. Yeah. So the what if, the last one, okay, so this is the worst that can happen. Once you see the worst that can happen, all right, so what do I need to do so that that does not happen? Because the majority of the time we are anxious because we are uncertain. Anxiousness is triggered. What triggers anxiousness? What are your thoughts? Some kind of fears, some kind of insecurities, a voice in your head. What memories are coming to you? What incidents are you remembering? What events are you remembering? What future are you imagining? Because whatever it is, it's all here. So if you can just acknowledge and observe, okay, whatever it is, it's all here. It's not a reality. It's your imagination. It's all happening inside your head. It's being manufactured here. So when it is being manufactured here, we can definitely change the composition because it's our own factory. So let's take control here. Let's get inside and understand, how do we need to change this? Identify the triggers, as I said. What are the incidents? What are the thoughts? What are the words? Any internal dialogue which is going on inside you? And most importantly, in today's time, news and discussions. Because that is something which is external and you are allowing it inside your mind without any forms of an understanding of what it is going and doing inside your mind. Because the mind takes in everything and it stores everything. If you understand the composition of the mind, we all have a conscious mind, the thinking mind. We have the subconscious mind, the memory storage mind. And then of course we have the unconscious mind, which is the most powerful part of us. We don't go there. We stay till here. This triggers the subconscious mind, the memory storage mind, basically is also the operating system, human operating system. So when our words are the coding language which goes in. The experiences, again, when an experience happens, things are spoken, whether it is spoken in our head or it is spoken by our people from outside. And the mind is storing everything that it is observing, that it is feeling, that it is listening to, whether it is listening to external people or the internal voice inside, which is coming from inside you. It's listening to everything and it is storing everything. And it is at times when it feels that, okay, this particular memory need to be triggered, it triggers it. And that is when you start feeling that anxiety, that anxiousness, all of those things. So if I can control my internal self, definitely can. It needs a little bit of work. But what doesn't need work is the external one. Switch off that news. Disconnect from a discussion which is, causing you to have all kinds of negative visualizations about the future or negative thoughts. You're okay. It's okay for you to say that I would not like to be a part of these discussions, or I've had enough. Watch the news for 15 minutes. That's enough for you to know what you need to know. That's all. I mean, if you're interested in reading something, go and read something. There are so many research papers. There are so many websites which will give you information. The news gives you entertainment. It doesn't give you information. And in today's time, that entertainment is all negative entertainment. It's all based on fear. It's all based on creating insecurities inside you. If you can just follow the pattern, well, the pattern is not something which is very conducive for human health. So stay away. Because that's one of the major cause of anxiety in today's time. The news, the WhatsApp forwards, the messages, the discussions, it's all about, how many deaths are happening. Be aware. It's important for you to be aware so that you're careful. But it's not important and not at all necessary for you to be talking about it for 4 hours or 5 hours of your day, or even listening to people talk about it. Be more concerned about what it is which is there in your future. Read the news, listen to the news, read papers or read whatever you need to, which will help you make better decisions for your own future goals. You are not into the policy making or anything, or in the medical board that you need to know all the gruesome details about things. Because why am I saying this is because the more you know the details about things, the more your brain is putting in a lot of reasons for you to feel that fear, to feel anxious, to feel that anxiety. So the less you know, the better off you are. That information is not important for you. So filter information. It is very important for you to filter that information. Again, what is going on inside your head? What if I fail? What if I have to close shop? What if I lose all my business? What if I lose my, how am I going to keep my family? How am I going to sustain? Are these words going to help you make any plans? So how do I change that? How do I reframe? What do I need to do so that I don't reach this state, and that I can only choose or think when I see the end, the worst that can happen? I remember when we were doing this particular workshop with Richard Bandler, Dr. Richard Bandler, and he had this lady who had a lot of insecurities, and she had an anxiety disorder. And that's what he asked her, that, what's the worst that can happen? She said, my family can die. He said, all right, now what? And she's like, how can I let them die? He said, exactly. So work on how do you keep them safe? Instead of working on, oh, my family can die, I work on how do I keep them safe? Isn't that a better place to be in? So that you have some constructive actions to take care of, to do, to think about. It just makes sense. Stop overthinking. Stop overthinking about all the things that can go wrong. Start thinking about what can go right, or what you can make right, most importantly. Because what can go right will not happen from the external forces. What can go right will happen when you take the actions which take you in that direction of what can go right. So, okay, this can happen. Okay, to do this or to make this happen, what is it that I need to do? Because overthinking leads to anxiety. It makes you anxious, and then the next thing, you are doing that over and over again. I had somebody who I was coaching and had a very, very traumatic past. And for 12 years, couldn't sleep at night. I mean, if he went to bed, for the next 3 hours, he would be thinking about all those traumas that he had gone through. 3 hours, 4 hours, could never have a restful sleep. The reason, The moment he used to close his eyes, all those thoughts used to come back. I mean, it's time for you to rest. All right, let's think through about everything that had happened. And what he told me is that he was on a hamster's wheel. And that situation, once it used to start, it used to go for weeks, not just hours. It used to go for weeks. So for weeks at end, he used to be in the same state of mind, thinking about the same things over and over again every day. His relationship with his wife was going bad. His work was suffering. He used to snap at things which didn't need any, were not something which you had to snap on. He used to snap on things. His behavior started changing. His impatience level went up. His patience gone down. He used to, get affected by the minutest of things which were absolutely, they were illogical, but it used to impact him. It used to trigger anger. It used to trigger frustration. All the negative emotions were on top, and they used to be triggered at the drop of a hat. That's what happens when you are in that state. When we started working and when we were talking about this, and I was like, let's he said that everybody's told me that I need to stop overthinking, but I don't know how to do it. And I said, I can understand, because your brain knows a pattern, and that pattern is to keep on thinking. So what you need to do is you need to give it something better to think about. So he work on himself. He wanted to work on his leadership skills. And that's what we started thinking about. We started thinking about which courses we need to take. We started thinking about what are the things that he needed to change in his leadership. So we started working on all of those things. And now he was no longer thinking about those traumatic experiences, because we did work on his timelines and put all of the past in the place that they belonged. And we cleaned his his present state, so that he could be in the present moment and work for what he wanted in the future. Once we did this exercise with him, his overthinking just stopped, because things which were in his present were things which belonged to the past. And the brain needs these commands, these instructions, that this does not belong here, this belongs to this place. So we need to put it back in that place. And how does it need to do it? Simple instructions that are given to your subconscious mind. And you can do it. You can do it very, very easily. I would like to leave you here with a couple of tips of how you can control your thoughts more than anything else. So if everybody would be willing to try this with me, because I can tell you, but I believe it's best if you experience it. So if everybody could just get comfortable and close your eyes. You don't need to write this down. Your subconscious mind will remember how to do it. So just learn it and just experience it. The first thing that I'd like to ask you to do is just close your eyes. And whatever thought it is which makes you anxious, makes you fear, fills you up with fear, or makes you feel insecure, or makes you feel negative emotions, anything, whatever the thought is, I'd like you to think about it. And I'd like you to observe what is the size of that particular thought, if it is an image in your head. If it is a voice, then observe what is the volume of that voice. What is the tone of that voice? Once you observe this, if it is an image, just see the size of that image. What color is it? If it is black and white, if it is colored, what is it? How big is it? If it's life size, if it is a size of the television screen or a laptop screen, where is it positioned? Is it close to you, or is it far off in the distance? What I want you to do next is just take that image, and whatever is the color, I want you to dim that color very, very gently, very, very gently, a percentage at a time. So if it's, say, 20% red, bring it down to 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10. As you are gradually decreasing the color, the image is becoming hazier. It's losing its focus. It's becoming unclear. The color is going away. It's just fading. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. It's just a blur now. And what I want you to do next is to just hold that image wherever it is. Just with your hands, just push that image far off, at least 5 meters away from you. Just push it far off. So it becomes a blur in the distance. If it's a voice, I'd like you to do the same. Decrease the volume, just the way we've done with the image, with the color. Just decrease the volume. If it's 20, bring it down to 2. And once the volume is decreased, just observe where the position of that voice is. Is it on your left side, on your right side, wherever it is? Just push it a little away. Just take it and put it a little far. Sit with 2-3 meters away from you. And just take a deep breath and just open your eyes. That's right. And now if I would ask you to think about that particular thought again. Just close your eyes and think about that particular thought again. Does it impact you the same way? Does it have the same impact? Please let me know in the chat. Does it have the same impact? Yep, it won't. Because this is how the brain, exactly, it'll get softer. This is how the brain recognizes the image. That's the language. It speaks in color, size, position, volume. A lot of other things are there. This is what we call submodalities. The mode of expression, which were the thoughts, had various other submodalities, which were all these different dimensions of that thought. When you work on those dimensions, the thought loses steam. It loses its impact. So anything that you have, any thought which comes to trouble you, then instant, it's like, that instant relief kind of a medicine, quick relief, just taking you to the ER and giving you a shot. That's what it is. Close your eyes, bring it out, change the submodalities, push it away. Take a deep sigh of relief. But this is temporary. You need to work on resolving that, putting it where it belongs. And by resolving, I do not mean living it all over again. No, that's not resolution in NLP. In NLP, it's about taking that thing, that thought, that image, that incident, that experience, and putting it where it belongs. Basically, what happens is that things in our head, they come out of where they should be, and they place themselves in places where they shouldn't be. And that's when it all gets cluttered out here. And we have all kinds of difficulties and issues. So that's what we do, we take things and put them where they belong. It's like you have a completely and well organized cupboard inside your mind. So when there is no clutter, there's hardly any issue. All right, so that's tip number 1. I'd like to leave you with another tip. Now, before I give you that tip, I'd just like you to have a small understanding of how the mind works. All of us, we are right now sitting in front of an electronic device, which has an operating system in which you input command, it processes that command, and it gives you an output. That's exactly how your mind works. We input command, it processes the information, and then it gives us the experience. All right. So if you input negative commands, I am not good enough, I don't think I can make this, make it, I don't think we're going to survive. That's what it is going to process. And then it is going to give you the output or the experience, which is anxiety, which is fear, which is insecurity, which is feeling of nervousness, giddiness, dizziness, all of those symptoms. So what you need to do is not work on the experiences. You need to get inside and start looking at what are you inputting? What are you putting inside? That's why you need to become conscious about your words. What words do you speak to yourself? What are the words that you're speaking to yourself? I don't want to feel anxious will only make you feel more anxious. But I want to feel peaceful. Okay, that's the input you've given to your brain saying, I want to feel peaceful. Peaceful is the process, is the experience which you are asking for. So the brain processes and gives you the experience of feeling peaceful. But I don't want to feel anxiety. That what it understands, it's basically is that the experience that you're asking for is anxiety, because the brain does not understand negative commands. It does not understand no. It does not understand don't. It doesn't understand that. So it just understands the feelings and the experiences that you're asking for. I can't do this. Oh yes, of course, it will make sure you'll never be able to do this. I don't want to live. All right, I'll give you a disease which will make it impossible for you to live. And this I'm telling you because another client of mine, she suffers from autoimmune disease. She's tried suicide for I don't know how many times. So when she could not do it that way, her mind said, all right, no problem. I'll give you suicide, and a painful one. So it's given it a disease which has no cure. So she's going towards her death, and she's having a very, very traumatic life. She can't do anything about it because that's what she asked for. She wanted to end her life. So that's what it's given it. It's weird to think about it like that, but that's how it works. So be very, very careful, very, very conscious of the words that you speak. Speak about what you want, not about what you don't want. All right. And the last one, so here, the input we spoke about. Now let me talk about the processing. So when we put in a command, the processor processes it, right? Here, the processor is our brain. And just like when you put in too many commands, the computer becomes slow. Similarly, we are exposed to so many experiences. We are exposed to so much of information. We are exposed to so many things that we observe, that we hear, that we speak, that we feel, that the brain does not get time to process all of those information. So we, there is something which is called rapid eye movement, or what we call the REM. Now, what does the REM do? REM is basically when your mind processes the information. Human beings need 3.5 hours of REM. We usually have 2 to 2.5 hours when we sleep at night. But the rest we need to get in the daytime. And that does not mean in any case that you need to go and take a nap. That's not what I'm asking for. You don't need to take a nap. If you do take a nap, good for you. But if you do not get the chance or the opportunity to take a nap, you're at work, just sit back, just close your eyes and I'll make you do it right now so that you know what I'm talking about and you carry this experience with you. Do it as many times in a day as you wish for and see the transformation in your thoughts. So again, just leave your pen and paper because you don't need to write this again. Your mind will remember how you need to do it. Just closing your eyes and just follow my instructions. Do not think about what you see. Do not try to understand it. Do not try to judge it. Do not try to have any kind of opinions about what's happening. Anything, whatever is coming to your mind, let it flow. Just let it flow. Let it be there. No fighting, no understanding, no judging, no opinions, no biases, nothing. Just let it be there. What you need to do is consciously just notice what your eyes are doing. Just consciously notice what your eyes are doing. You may feel they're moving. It's okay. Just keep noticing what your eyes are doing. And once your brain tells you that it's okay, you can open your eyes, then do that. Because what your eyes are doing right now is called rapid eye movement. And this movement is basically your brain processing all the unprocessed information which has been stored, which is there inside your mind. Unprocessed because you did not give your brain the time to process these emotions, informations, whatever it is. Once they are processed, you can open your eyes, and you will know when you need to open your eyes because your brain will tell you when you can open your eyes. But the fact is, when you have clutter in your mind, you cannot have peace in your mind. And a rapid eye movement is the best way to organize that clutter. That's right. That's right. Very good. That's right. That's right. That's right. This is an immediate and instant way in how you can stop your anxious thoughts, control anxiety. Almost every client that I've asked to use this, they have come back and said that it has truly helped them a lot to control their anxiety. So this is a very, 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 very powerful technique of controlling anxiety because it's when too many things are going in, what if, what if, what if, what if, what if, and it is not being processed. Your experiences or your expression or your output is all jumbled up. You can't think straight. You can't feel anything. You can't understand anything. And when you cannot do it, you cannot understand things, when you cannot look at things and, you know, try and get an understanding of what is going to happen, is when you get even more anxious. So just give yourself these 5-10 minutes, you know, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, 5 minutes, you know, at an interval of 2-3 hours. It also increases your productivity at work because whatever information you've taken in, when your brain processes, cleared, more disk space available. So then you can do more work, you can have more programs running in it. So this is just like, you know, defragmentation of your disk space. So do this as often as you can. And unlike a computer, you will not lose any information. You will in fact put them where they belong. So it's a very, very powerful exercise. So this is what I wanted to speak today. This is what I wanted to give to everyone today. Just a couple of tools which helps you deal with your anxiety, manage anxiety, and not just yours. People around you, whom you see, are subtle changes in their behavior. They're snapping more often. They're getting impatient. You see them, the expression on their face is not peaceful. Just see if you can see these signs. These are the symptoms of anxiety. Heart racing, giddiness, headaches, cannot sleep at night, eating has become disrupted. All of these things, you can just give them. Do not go ahead and say that, what, you're suffering from anxiety. No, you can just give them these couple of tips. Why don't you do this? Well, just close your eyes. Just focus on what your eyes are doing. And immediately they'll feel that calmness. So you give them, you leave them with a tool. Let's spread these tools around, because a lot of people need them these days. So just as a part of the human network, this is my contribution here that I wanted to bring to you. And I hope the webinar has been fruitful enough for you, and you're taking something from here. And I would be more than happy now to please take your questions. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask or anything that you'd like to say, these are my coordinates. You can always connect with me. My social media handles goes by the same name, Nahid Inspires. So you'll find me on Facebook, on Instagram, on LinkedIn. I'm by my name. You can connect with me. That's my phone number. WhatsApp is available on that. So I'm available on that, or you can even write to me. Whatever it is, and with full confidentiality, I assure you that help is definitely going to be there for you.